Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Today's webinar will be about overview of Clip Studio Paint 1.10.10 new features, updates, and improvements, presented by Sarajean Chung, also known as TheOneWithBear. Before we begin the webinar, there are some housekeeping items that we'd like to go through. The webinar will be approximately 1 hour long. All attendees will be muted. Question and answer session will be during the last 15 minutes of the webinar. Attendees can ask questions in the GoToWebinar question box right away. Due to time constraints, not all questions will be answered. The webinar will be recorded. The recording will be shared on social media and will be sent via email to all registrants and attendees. The panelists for this webinar are Mario Quiñones, myself, Joanna Brower, and Sarah Jean. For those of you who are joining us for the very first time or have never heard about Clip Studio Paint, Clip Studio Paint is your all-in-one solution for stunning, ready-to-publish illustrations, comics, manga, and animations. Learn more at clipstudio.net/n and graphicsly.com. And with that, we'd like to pass the reins of the webinar to Sarah Jean and her presentation overview of Clip Studio Paint 1.10.10 new features, updates, and improvements. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Mario, for that introduction. Let me just share my screen real quick. Oh, is this the right screen? I hope so. Can you guys see it?
Yeah,
Yes?
perfect.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. For those of us who are on the Canadian side of the earth, I know it's probably really hot for a lot of you. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that you guys are surviving the heat, and I'm trying to. Right now it's 38 degrees in my room. So I'm going to try my best to stay alive while I do this webinar. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I am the one with Bear. I am a freelance illustrator, but today, instead of talking about myself and also what I do wish to kind of just jump straight into the webinar because we have quite a lot of materials to cover. So if you guys are interested in seeing my work, they are just on the One with Bear on our social media. So thank you guys again. And without further ado, before we start the actual material, I want to walk through what is included in Clip Studio Paint Update 1.10.10. And these are the 7 major topics that I'm going to be covering. Actually, the first topic is not exactly a major topic, but it's one that I need, okay, me personally. So we're going to go over Lock Palette, the newly added brushes. I know that I have been getting a massive amount of comments regarding the new brushes and what exactly is going on because I believe that the update process has caused a little bit of confusion. So I'm definitely going to be explaining exactly what happened and where you can get all of the brushes and get the most out of this update. The third one is changing brush tip. And then I'm going to demonstrate what the new 11 brushes can do and how I use them in a promotional sketch that I experimented with. And then the fifth one, we will jump into Dual Brush, the engine update. This one is a very fascinating topic for me because I've been waiting for this forever, and I'm so glad that the engine is getting a boost, and there's so much more flexibility that we can do with designing brushes now. But the initial setup can look a little bit confusing, and therefore I want to spend some time explaining how and what to click on when your brushes are not behaving the way that you want them to. Now, the sixth one is for teamwork, and this is a feature for you to cloud share your files to work on as a team. And this one is a Clip Studio Paint EX feature. If you're using debut version or you're using pro version, you won't have access to this feature. And then the seventh one is improvement in 3D binding and page reordering for comic book artists. And this one is also an EX feature. So those are the 7 major topics that we will go over today. Now, without further ado, first of all, I want to talk about lock palette because I don't know why. I don't know if you have this issue. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I have issues. But I constantly accidentally drag the palettes. I don't know why this happens to me. Like I think most of the people probably don't, but it happens to me. Okay, so I am really happy that under window they have added the palette dock. You can now fix width of the palette dock. So you saw that I was dragging this bar. Where did it go? Dragging this bar in and out. Uh, Now you can palette dock, fix the width of palette dock. Now you can't drag it anymore. So happy. And you can also lock the palette height. So this will prevent you from adjusting this, the size of the individual palette and height. And then lastly, you can adjust lock palette position. So this will prevent you from accidentally dragging this palette out. You can see it's not moving anymore. You cannot move it down. You cannot move it up. It's going to be fixed. So I don't know why this is so exciting for me, but if you have the same issue as I do, just remember they have added this. Whoever designed this, thank you. So I'm going to leave that there for a little bit. And actually, no, during the webinar, I probably need to change a few things. So let me just disable all of that. All right. All right, so let's move on to the meaty part of this update, the added brushes. In Clip Studio Paint 1.10.10, they added 11 brand new brushes. Whether you are updating from an older version or if you are if you're completely brand new to Clip Studio Paint and installing it for the first time, these 11 new brushes should be there. But they're sort of scattered around the different folders, so you kind of need to look for them. So these 11 brand new brushes for sure are pencil, wet wash, watercolor splash, thick oil paint, brush pen, dry ink, watery ink, wet blotting ink, dappled light, glitter, and zipper. Now, these can be, like I said, can be found in different folders. For example, pencil brush, it's going to be added in the pencil folder right here on the very bottom. So they will be the last brush in their individual folder. Wet wash, watercolor, splash, these ones are inside the watercolor folder, not the realistic watercolor folder, but the standard watercolor folder. So these two right here. Um, Actually, now that I think about it, I have not tested out what happens if you don't have these folders anymore. I'm kind of assuming that it just adds a category to it, but I have not tested that, so my apologize in that regard. But if you have these individual folders, they're definitely there. Thick oil paint will be added under the thick paint category. Brush paint, dry ink, they are under um, brush pen and dry ink, they're under India ink. So this is the brush tool and then India subtool. Okay, so brush pen, dry ink, watery ink, wet blotting ink, these four are over here. And then dappled light, oh, actually, where the dappled light? Dappled light is under effect right here on the very bottom. And then there is also glitter. Glitter is over, oh, glitter is somewhere. wow, this is very unprofessional already. I can't remember where glitter is. I am either blind or somehow, well, glitter is there somewhere, and then zipper is under clothing right here. So I added the lace afterwards. So these are the 11 brushes that are definitely going to be added into your your subtool palette after you have updated. Now, the confusing part is the 31 that they give you, but did not actually add into your subtool palette. So I will ask Joanna to put the link in the chat for you if you want to click on it and then look through them with me right now. So this is the page that will be linked in chat. This is the initial subtools that have been updated but not added. If you are updating Clip Studio Paint from an older version to this version, you are not going to be able to see these brushes in your subtool palette. However, if you are installing Clip Studio Paint for the very first time, these will be inside their individual folder. Now, I'll go over these fairly quickly, and I'll teach you how to add them. I have to admit they are slightly complicated and unnecessarily so. So we have the felt pen, mechanical pencil, charcoal, crayon, pastel. I'm not going to read over all of them because I know I'm going to miss something up. So all of these ones, some of these have adjusted attribute. Like for example, I'll show you later, the oil paint, there is already an existing oil paint brush in the past, but when you update it, um, they have now a brand new oil paint brush with the same name, but with different attributes added to them. They're newly improved, but they're not yet added directly to your subtool palette. And then there are also a bunch of ones that didn't exist before, but they didn't add into the updated version. Um, so these are the decoration brushes that are actually really incredible. So I encourage that you look through this particular list and just find out what potentially can be of use to you, because like the ground background brush is amazing. Cloud is, looks super useful. Books and buildings, lace, this one I added. Simple frill is an updated one, but braid, thin chin, buttons. I hate drawing buttons so much. So, and also like this chain brush looks absolutely stunning. So, all of these, if you're updating the Clip Studio Paint, you wouldn't see it right now. Now, I'm going to teach you how to add these into your subtool palette. So, let me actually start this real quick. So you will want to go into this little tab under your subtool palette. You'll want to click on the three bars over there on the top, and then you're going to select Add from Default. So under Add from Default, you have to look for, whichever brush. Like for example, we want to add the bead chain. Bead chain is under Decoration, Clothing, and Bead Chain. So there is the decoration right there, clothing, and then bead chain. So there you go. That's where this new, oh my God, that's actually a really nice brush. I haven't seen this before because I wanted to also sort of have this be like a little bit of a discovery with you guys. So I think this is super pretty. But you have to add them like that. So if you see one that you really like and then you want to put them into your workflow, then that is where you add them. Again, it's the three bar, add from default, and then find them from this menu. Now, there are 31 of them. And if you love all of them and then you want all of them, adding them one by one is a massive pain in the butt, right? Because I think it's a pain. I haven't even added all of them. So another way to do this, to automatically reset all of your tools to the new default. And this means that all of the ones that you have added in as a custom brush will all be removed. It will set to the default that is decided at update 1.10.10. So that will include the 11 new brushes, the 31 updated brushes, as well as all of the other ones that haven't been changed. And to do that, to reset all of that, you have to reset Clip Studio Paint. Now I'm going to close this and show you how to do that. Inside your Clip Studio, this is your Clip Studio interface. You will see Paint up here. So this is where you launch your Clip Studio Paint. Instead of just clicking on it right away, you would press Shift. Hold on to Shift and then click Paint. All right. Now this opened it on my other monitor. Let me move it over here. Give me one sec. There you go. Okay, so Shift, click on Paint, and it will give you this screen. It will give you this little window that says Reset to Original Defaults. So this original defaults will be 1.10.10, and you will click on Tool, and then you will hit OK. Now, I'm not gonna do that because then it's going to delete some of my subtools. But if you haven't really have been adding that many custom tools, so you don't have to worry about your original tools being deleted, then this is a really great way to quickly add 31 subtools that they didn't add immediately into the update. So right here, click on Tool and click OK. Now, again, this is a warning. They will delete your custom tools, so just be cautious of that. Don't do it too lightly. And if you do decide to do it, make sure that you back up all of your brushes that you really, really like. Okay? So that is that part. Now let me actually open these files quickly. All right. So what do they mean by they updated the subtools? I kind of can understand why they didn't want to just flat out add them directly into this, and probably don't want to confuse you, but I think the ultimate result was a little bit backwards. But you can see that in the old subtool, there is a brush already called oil paint. And I believe if you guys never removed the default brushes from the past, the oil paint is still in there. So let's draw, and that's paint. Oh, let's use a different color, shall we? So this is the old oil paint brush, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. It's a round brush that blends the color on its own. Now let's go to that method that I told you about, add from default. Go into brush. Under thick paint, we now see another oil paint brush. Let's click on this one. This will add oil paint 2 because the names are overlapping, so it automatically added 2 in the end. This is the new subtool brush that is in this list right here. Somewhere up there. Somewhere there. This one. All right. So this is the new version 2 of oil paint brush. Now, what does it look like then? See, it has a very nice canvas texture that is incorporated with it. And it does resemble texture. It does resemble oil paint a lot more. So I can understand why they updated it. I just wish that they had, kind of forcefully added them into your subtool. Maybe you guys feel differently, but I just find it would be a little bit more convenient for me personally if they had also been added automatically into the update. But like I said, if you guys want this brush, then the only 2 ways right now to obtain them is to go from add from default, or to shift click paint and reset your tools. Okay, so before I move on, let me just make sure I did not forget anything. All right, so another really important part that I mentioned from deleting all of the subtools if you reset them. Now, in this update, they also removed the old brushes from the default. If you're just updating, they didn't remove anything, but if you're resetting it, then they actually removed quite a bunch of old brushes from the default settings. So if you ever want them, I'll ask Joanna to put the 3 links in the chat. These are a lot of the painting brushes as well as the decoration brushes. And the 3 links, you can kind of see which ones are being deleted. The ones that are deleted have the red check mark. And then on the bottom here, you can actually just click on these individual brushes and then just download them into your material folders. So this is how you get the old brushes from the old defaults back into your tool sets, okay? For example, like I love, you guys know that oil paint flat brush is my main painting tool. So I was a little bit surprised that it got removed, but I can also kind of understand it after seeing how the new oil paint brush behaves. But if I ever decide to reset all of my tools and I want the oil paint flat brush back, all I need to do is come to this link and also download it from here. So the same thing can be said about the decoration brushes that were removed. Those are the braided ropes, the cutout lace, pearls, sparkles, etc. And then there are 3 pages in total, so you can access the tools from over here, like all of these flower brushes. um, but it's a lot easier to just kind of like download them in this way. So I'm really hoping that they can do the same for the newly updated brushes for all of the people like us who don't want to reset our brushes, but still be able to quickly download all of the new 31 brushes. So that is it for the updated brushes and how to obtain them. Now, the next part is brush tip. Now, in the past, you guys know that our brush tip has always been a circle. I have a little highlighter, the yellow highlighter around it. So it's a little bit hard to see, but it is a circle. Now you can go into File, Preference, and go into Cursor, and you can change the brush type cursor or pen type cursor or anything like that. You can change it to brush size or anything else that you have it set to before to brush shape. So now you can see, I'll make it a little bit larger. This brush shape is going to represent your brush. So it can give a more accurate representation of where things are going to be. And this has been a thing that a lot of people have been waiting for, me, myself included, since I came from another software that, looked like that. So it took me a little bit of time to kind of get accustomed to using the circle. But I did get used to it eventually, but it's nice to have this kind of brush tip back. So another thing that you can change is cursor details. You can see right now it's do not change. So you can see the brush shape. It remains static. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'll make it a little bit larger. It remains static. But if you change it to something else, change to direction only, then you will see that it's sort of rotating through my direction of the brush. So there are some different representation. I won't go over them one by one, but you can go ahead and try which one you like the most. I personally like the direction changing as well as the brush shape. So this is my go-to right now. All right. So that's number 3. Now number 4, let's go over the new brushes that we mentioned. Okay. Oh, there you go. So these 11 brushes, the only thing that I didn't actually use in this piece is the thick oil paint, just because the stylization wise, it didn't really fit. But I kind of tried all of the other ones, but I'll show you what each of them do so then you can kind of imagine how they can be incorporated into your own workflow. But I absolutely love the new brushes. All 11 of them look so organic and so nice. And when combined together, they create such a lovely look. And I was able to kind of play around with this, combining all of the different brushes to get that sort of organic traditional look. So my line art was done with the brush pen and then the dry ink. Let me see. Hopefully you guys can see this. If you can't, just grab a screenshot and kind of go over what each layer looks like. So the brush pen and dry ink are really nice. They give that sort of sumi brush type of look, that sort of texture, or also the thickness to thin transition. These two are really, really nice for inking line art. And then I also gave glitter their own layer. You can't really see, it's right here. It's right there. I just figured, I would show that on a separate layer. But the glitter is what I added on her cheek and some of there just as an experimental to see how it looked like. But the glitter brushes are really, really fun, really easy to use. And then the round watercolor brush is the previous default brush in the realistic watercolor brush folder. I really love this one because I always kind of want to create that sort of dripping effect where watercolor just drips down and then dry. So that's the realistic watercolor brush, not part of the new updated ones. Okay, and then we have the watery ink. Now, watery ink is in under India ink. This is an interesting brush, even though it's called watery ink, but I find that in all of the newly designed brushes, this is the one that has the most control. So I use this brush to kind of layer the value quite a bit, and kind of use it as a way to give certain areas more value, kind of start to build them up. I didn't need to change any of the layer mode to multiply or anything like that, just because the brushes themselves have that organic transparency that overlaps on top of each other. So watery ink is a more controlled watercolor brush with a very solid papery texture. And then these are zip, the zip brush, the lace, and also the cherry blossom new decoration brushes that I have used in these areas, just to kind of give it a tiny bit of flair. This was an experimental piece, so I was just trying to have fun with it. I encourage you to do the same when new brushes are kind of being released. Pardon me. But again, except for the zip brush, the other two you have to do add from default, okay? And then wet wash. Wet wash is a pretty watery brush. I don't know how to describe it, but they have this sort of inconsistent blotch of colors, which is great because that's what organic watercolor usually looks like. I use this as a way to kind of lay down big areas, or to quickly cover a large area that needs color. So I really, really like this brush, and it adds so much depth and also uncertainty to a piece, which is very similar to watercolor. And then the wet blotting ink under India ink is probably my favorite brush out of all of them, because like, just look at that very interesting unexpected shape over there. So I love that it has the paper texture to go with it, and it sort of has that sort of bleeding out effect on the side, much like how you would paint on rice paper. So this is a really, really fun brush. But again, watercolor is meant to be, kind of free and mostly not super, super controlled. So I love that it kind of gives the edges that fuzzy look. And then I can define it a little bit more using the watery ink brush and also the actual inking brush. Okay, and lastly, it was the watercolor splash. This, this goes without saying, it just adds so much more texture into the piece, and it's really, really fun. Okay, and then the pencil brush. The pencil brush, I think nobody is going to really complain about this pencil brush because it's just fantastic. It's controlled with your tilt. So if you, let's see, I'll just quickly demo it here. So when you have your pen upright, of course your pen has to have tilt control. When you have your pen upright, it's going to look like that. When you do sideways, it's going to give that effect. So this is a really, really nice pencil brush, one that I have been waiting for. So yeah, those are the new 11 brushes and how I kind of combined them to create this piece. And hopefully, I always say that if you want to experiment with any brushes, the best way to do so is to start small. Try to go with something that you're very comfortable with, that you've drawn over and over again probably, and then just use a completely new medium so that you don't experience that much frustration when you are trying to understand how these brushes work. All right, that is all. And then we're going to move on to, let me just double check. All right, we are going to move on to the most exciting part of today's webinar, which is the dual brush engine. I think you guys are right now looking at this image and thinking, what the heck is going on? This is really kind of the only way that I could think of to explain this, a more relatable way that I hope will be a little bit more understandable. And then I just realized, because I used peanut butter, I should have probably used I probably should have used jam. I'm sorry if you're allergic to peanut butter. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But I have designed a peanut butter toast brush in order to explain what is going on with the new brush engine. So the new brush engine added a whole new section that is called two. I I think it's great. I don't really have any issue. I don't know how they could name this any better, but I just think it's funny that it's just named two. So under number two, there's like a whole section of number two, okay? So all of the number two control the secondary brush tip that is going to be applied on top of your first brush tip. If you're still using the old engine, you will only get one type of brush tip that can be adjusted over here. Oh, sorry, adjusted over here, and also added the material over here. So I designed a brush where the original, the first brush tip is a toast, and then the second brush tip, which is added by the new engine, the second brush tip is peanut butter. And this is the result of this brush. It is a peanut butter on top of toast. So this is completely with all of the original settings, like normal. I believe this is not direction. I think this is called mode. I'm just going to call it mode to avoid confusion, but I think this could be a typo. But this is a normal second brush tip with apply RGB, which we'll explain in a little bit, applied directly on top of the first brush tip, which is the toast, as you can see here. So if I want to change the mode, the applying mode of the secondary brush tip, I can change it right here. So right now we're gonna do multiply, and then you can see the peanut butter has been burnt into the toast. And if I change it to add glow, the peanut butter has transcended into another dimension. And if I click on subtract, then the peanut butter looks like it's not edible. And so you can basically change all of these to decide how the peanut butter is going to apply to the toast. And by that, I mean the second brush tip. You know what I mean, I hope. All right, so then what does apply RGB value mean? Now, apply RGB value means that it's going to take the color as well as the texture and pretty much everything that makes the secondary brush tip. It's going to take all of that information and apply that onto the first brush. So as you can see in the mode right here, I'm actually going to change it back to normal. So when I have this mode set to normal, my peanut butter is going to look exactly the same as is when I am applying the peanut butter RGB onto the toast, right? So it looks like that. And everything else that I have changed down to, they have taken the color and the texture of the peanut butter into consideration before applying to the toast. Now, what happens if I disable apply RGB? Now, I change it back to normal. Peanut butter disappeared, but it didn't technically disappear. So apply RGB, with apply RGB value disabled, this means that the second brush tip is only being considered by its opacity and its shape, okay? So it doesn't apply its color, it doesn't apply its texture or anything like that. It's just going to apply the shape of it. And let me just expand the brush size to make the peanut butter bigger than the toast. So you can see that now the peanut butter has expanded beyond the toast. You can see that the peanut butter actually is still being considered, but it's adapting the main color instead of using its own incorporated color. So this is something that you can kind of take into consideration. And here, let's make it a little bit smaller again. So you can do subtract. Now it's a very sad toast because the shape of the peanut butter is being subtracted from the toast, now leaving that sad crumb. Whereas if I have the apply RGB on, subtract, it's going to give you a very ugly color. Neither of it looks very appetizing, but hopefully that kind of clarifies what the two different main thing is supposed to work with it. Now, another thing that you can adjust, let me change it back to this. Another thing you can adjust is link to main brush size. So this means that when my brush size is adjusting, here, let me do that. And then if I want to increase my brush size, this one controls the main, this one controls the toast, okay, the size of the toast. And then this one too controls the size of the peanut butter. So if I increase the size of my toast right now, you can see that the peanut butter has also expanded according to the size of the toast, which is great because, well, actually it's not completely covered, but still, it is expanding in ratio. Now, if I have, let me decrease that again. If I have this unchecked, now link to main brush size is unchecked. Actually, let me make that even smaller so that you can kind of tell the difference. All right, there you go. Okay. So right now, this peanut butter looks like this size, right? And then the toast is that size. If I have link to main brush size unchecked and I expand the peanut butter, expand the toast, the peanut butter is just a sad little bit in the middle because the peanut butter is not adjusting its size according to the size of the main brush. All right, so linking it will make this adjust the sides in ratio to your main brush size. But if you don't have it checked, then it's only going to adjust the brush size. But then you can also still, change the size of the peanut butter according to using this bar. So see, oh, I didn't change much. Wow. Okay, make it even smaller. See, now it's very, you can't even see it. But yeah, that's kind of how you do it. Those are the three main things that I really wanted to talk about with the dual brush system. Basically, the second brush tip is all independent with their own individual attributes. So you can actually combine two different brushes. Since we're a little short on time today, I won't really go into the example that comes with the newly designed brushes, but take some time to look at how, if you really want to understand how this brush is built, it is worthwhile to kind of look into the newer brushes and see how they combine. Like, for example, the thick oil paint brush combines the brush tip, like this brush tip you can't really see right now, and then combine it with this. So the two different modes adding on top of each other, it creates a very interesting texture. But that is kind of how they work. But again, this part, if you have any question, please feel free to message me in private. Since we don't have a ton of time to go over everything in depth, then we're just going to pause here. Now, similarly, they have also added something under the spraying effect. Okay, so we just explained the linking to main brush size. We also have spraying effect where they added this attribute called brush size. This is a godsend, by the way, because this has actually been driving me crazy. I'll show you. This is the droplet. This is the droplet brush. I'll move it over here. This is the normal looking droplet brush at 25 and 20, right? Right now, linking to main brush size is turned off. So I'm going to change the main brush size to 400. And you can see that right here, the dimension or the diameter of the brush size has increased from 250 to 400, like the top to bottom has been changed, but the particle size remains the same, 20. So, that's the most it's going to go. Now, this used to really confused me because I was expecting if I'm to increase the size of the brush, the droplet is going to also increase in ratio. And now that is finally a possibility. So now let's check link to brush size. So now 250 to 20, and I change this to 400. It's going to automatically increase the particle size in ratio to 32. So let's see. Not only did the diameter changed, but also the particle size changed. So this is really, really useful because I used to like adjust the main brush size all the time, but then the particle wouldn't increase. So I have to then manually increase the size of the particles, which is slightly inconvenient. So I'm really glad that they added this. This also affects Photoshop brushes that have scatter turned on. If you're importing Photoshop brushes that have scattering inside Photoshop as a main setting, when it comes into Clip Studio Paint, it's going to automatically turn that setting on. So the particle will adjust according to the main size, okay? So those are some of the adjustments that they have made to the Photoshop brushes. Okay, Photoshop brush import. Let me just double check. All right, so that is the brush engine. And again, I know this is a pretty big update. It requires a lot of kind of playing around, adjusting in order to really master it. So I really welcome you guys to send me a message if you feel confused or you don't know what to adjust. Just let me know and I'll do my best to help you. All right, so now we're going to move on to number 6, the teamwork. Teamwork is, for me personally, since I don't do comic work, so this is less relevant to me, but I've asked my comic book artist friends and all of them are really excited because, you know, there is no more going back and forth between team members. So I think that's really, really awesome. And how you set this up, um, again, this is an EX feature, okay? In Clip Studio, you're going to click on your name and then you're going to click on account. Okay, so once you click on this, it's going to open a web page and it's going to take you to home. I'm not going to show home right here. That's why I have this page showcased directly because I don't want my personal information out there. But it's going to take you to home. All you have to do is click on manage team and then create team. And I'm going to name this team The One with Bear because I'm very self-obsessed. Create team, and now you can change your team icon. You can upload your, you know, favorite picture or worst picture there can be, and then you can send invite to team via their email address, or you can just send them a link and then they could click on it and then they can join in directly. Okay, and then once we have the team set up, it's going to take you to this cloud where nothing happens. So what do we do? We're going to go into this device. So you have all of the files that you see over here under this device is your local file. So let's say we want to take this comic book project and share it with my team. I have to first upload my file onto cloud. And how to do that is by just clicking on this button here, switch syncing, adding select the file item will be synchronized. Would you like to proceed? Of course. Okay. And then now it's going to start syncing and then put it in the cloud storage. Okay. You probably have to wait for a little bit. Let me see. Hopefully it will show up soon. Come on. It will refuse to show up. But it takes a little bit of time, like, because it does upload it to cloud. Oh, there. Yay. Okay, good. So now this thing shows up on your cloud account. And then this little icon here, the 2-person icon here, you just click on it. So this will ask you which team you want to share this with. In case that you're a member of different team, you have a lot of friends, have actual social life. I don't. So I just have one team featuring by myself. So I just click on this and then hit confirm. So once the teamwork setting has changed, then let's go back to this. And you will be able to see that the plus sign has been enabled and all of the people in your your team members can access and can download this file through their cloud tab. Okay. So this is really awesome because then you don't have to go through Google Drive, you don't have to go through OneDrive or whatever service that you use. You just use it directly in Clip Studio Paint. And you know, this is when you start to assign all of the work to other people so that you do none of the work and take all of the credit. So I think that's really awesome. And that's how you share files on Team. Now the final one. All right, the final one is 3D binding. Now let us open this file actually. All right. So this is a multi-page comic project that I pretended that I did. I mean, I did, but I pretended that this is a masterpiece that people will buy. And as you can see, there are multiple pages in oh, hold on. My I think my computer right now it's very hot, so it's trying to not work. So you can open several pages, and you can also rearrange. Um, they have added an option to rearrange the page inside, where you can just grab a page. Let's see. You hit story, and under page reordering, you can choose either you drag it or you control drag. Okay, so you can actually drag number 4 and then change it to number 5 or stuff like that. Oh. Sending changes to cloud. So I totally forgot to mention, as you can see, like my bubble right now is over here. This means that I'm working on this page, and I am now live on this page. This is being opened and being edited. If I'm not mistaken, when other people are also working on this file, they are pretty much live. So I don't think you can see them changing automatically, like live, but you can see who is working on what. Um, Again, I could be wrong just because I haven't really had a team to test this with me. So that I will ask for, hopefully for confirmation, maybe from Joanna later on. But you can reorder the pages from this panel over here. Now, the export file, you can go into File, Export Multiple Pages, and 3D Preview for binding. Oh, I forgot to save. Save. Creating data to check crop border. So this option now allows you to do this without a cover. In the past, you couldn't really do that, but now you can actually create a 3D preview even though your cover is not done or you have not added one. So you can now look at your comic very easily. You can close it and then basically build a preview from any page, even though the other pages are empty. So this is really useful for a comic book artist who wants to see, if they look nice, if the pages are flipping, they feel organic, and they read one to another just fine. Another thing that they added is export multiple page, export EPUB data. So this will give you data. This will allow you to incorporate data when you are e-publishing. And then you can just enter all of your titles and information for your comics into here. Then that will it will be able to incorporate it into your files. So when you send it, it's going to be in there somewhere. Okay, so that's the e-publish data that has also been added as an option into this update. And that's it. Actually, that concludes all of the updates. I know the last part of this is a little bit quick, but mostly it's also because, again, I don't have people to live use the service with me because it's not part of my workflow. I wish I can assign my painting to somebody else to paint it, but I feel like as long as I show you the rope of how to set this up, how to share your file, then you guys can take it from here. But again, if you guys have any question, Joanna, do you have any question for me?
For one, thank you very much for explaining all the details. And yes, you are, just to say it, you're correct. If with the icon, like this is a live view of who is working on which page, and it's available for every user of the teamwork feature.
Oh,
So
that's
you
so
will
awesome.
who you will see like basically in real time who's online and who's working on which file, and there like certain files will be locked because of that, because
Mhm.
so that multiple people aren't working on the same file, and you will be notified when things are updated and stuff like that. So the detail, we should have set this up before, and we could have shown this.
Oh, I know. I know.
But
Oh, I
maybe
should
in
have.
a different update. Yeah.
Yeah.
We,
Yeah, I should
maybe
have asked.
next time.
Next time. Yeah, when
Yeah.
we have a webinar dedicated to doing comics, that would be awesome, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have thought about that, but oh well. Thank you anyway. I think it was made pretty clear like how it works, and you were absolutely correct with that.
Okay,
Um,
awesome.
we don't have too many questions that can be answered on the webinar, and
Mhm.
most of like the technical stuff is already um answered by you. I just wanted to make one thing. I wanted to add something. Right now, the version you download from the Clip Studio website is actually 1.10.11. So
Mhm.
not to get anyone confused, it's just bug fixes.
Mhm.
And there will likely be another update, but the features have not changed. Just so no one gets worried about that, the feature updates are in 1.10.10.
Mhm.
So that's just one of the other things. I think the biggest confusion, as you said, was the one with the importing the brushes.
Mhm.
So I would just like, can we just do that like one more time to see like where to get the new default brushes if you
Y-
already have Clip Studio Paint?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you already have Clip Studio Paint and you're just updating from 1.10.9 to 1.10.10, then all the 11 brushes that you see on this list right here, starting felt pen all the way down, there are 31 of them. So you'll want to go into this 3 bar next to your subtool panel and then add from default, and then look for the ones that you want. For example, we want like a newly updated chalk brush. So it's under pencil, pastel, and chalk. So pencil, pastel, and chalk. And then you just select that and then hit OK. It's going to automatically add it to whatever folder that you just have previously selected, and then you can freely move this to somewhere else if you so wish. Um, oh, I just moved it somewhere. You know, nothing goes right when you're trying to do this live. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
of course.
blame my computer.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how you add it. Or if you want to reset all of your tools, deleting your custom ones, I actually might end up doing that just because I have so many of them, and I kind of want like a clean install. So you would go into here, into your Clip Studio Paint interface, have your Clip Studio Paint turned off. You have to have this off, turn this off. Actually, let me just quickly turn this off right now so I can show it. And then inside your Clip Studio, you shift click on Paint. And I'm gonna move, oh, sorry. There.
A lot of
So,
new.
and then you're going to select Tool and hit OK. So this will give you back the default starting this update. That makes sense.
Yes.
Yep.
So
So
yeah,
those.
I think it's a bit confusing because like depending on which version you use, how your arrangement is of the brushes in the palette, like
Mhm.
you will probably have to look for them, like
Mhm.
where they end up being after the update, because that is really it really depends on your setup. So
Yeah.
if you have like the old brushes active, they are not deleted. Um, but the new brushes added, just as you said at the beginning. It's really you just have to look for them at this
Yeah,
point.
you really have to look for them. And I also had another person asking me, they said that the 11 brushes that are like brand new, that
Mm,
are supposed to be automatically added, they couldn't find it. And I
mm,
wasn't sure if it was because they deleted the category that the brush is supposed to be in. So,
yeah,
for
yeah,
example,
that's
yeah,
very likely.
yeah, so like wet wash or watercolor splash, etc., they are added under the watercolor brush folder. But if you no longer have that folder, maybe it's added somewhere else, or maybe it wasn't added. Unfortunately, I should have thought of it. I apologize. I didn't test that out. But again, even if that's not added or you couldn't find it, simply go from default and look for that new one. They're all in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can just download the wet wash. The wet wash is over here. The watercolor splash is over here, for example.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, we're already also at the end, but I think we have covered. You have covered all the important parts.
Okay,
Um,
good. Oh, we actually made it within an hour.
yes, we did, we
What a
did.
miracle.
Yeah, definitely. It's an update that has been requested by lots of people. Of course, the brush double, like the dual feature, um, is obviously something that a lot of people have been waiting for. We
Mhm.
didn't have too much choice in the naming of
Yeah,
the feature because of the convention of how these things are coded into the software. So
yeah.
we just thought as well two kind of makes sense. So
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Like, I couldn't think of a better name. I think it's kind of funny that it's just two in front of it, but at the
yeah,
same time, it is clear enough.
yeah,
It is just the second set of brush shape, brush tip, and second set of settings. So
mm,
they basically replicate everything that you see up here. So you can control the main brush tip and then control the secondary brush tip, and it combine the two of them together.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Also, the thing you pointed out with direction is also being fixed. So
Oh, okay, awesome.
that was
That's
indeed
awesome.
a typo, and we're working on it. So there will be some bug fixes.
Okay.
So yeah, we're always working and trying to improve the software. So that's what we're doing, and we of course we listen to feedback. If anyone wants to send like feedback directly to our development team, we have a request section on the support site.
Mm,
It's always good to hear what the feedback is from the users, what people are thinking, and what difficulties they have. The team is always happy to help, even if
mhm,
it's not like a not like a direct fix or not a direct um, solution within the software. There is usually a workaround or some other like option to help with some of the settings. So always feel free to reach out to the support team. They will try to help you and assist as best as you can. And then you have Sarah Jean, who will just do that on social media probably. If she's not too
No,
busy.
she's putting this in a very nice way. She basically just wants to say, "I'm just nerding out," somewhere on the internet.
Yeah.
Just reach out to me and give me an opportunity to nerd out.
Yes, exactly. Which is
Yeah,
great, which is great. It's like everyone benefits from that. So,
yeah.
all right, thank you so much for your help and the explanations. I think it was very, very good for everyone who's a bit new or has a bit of trouble with the new features. It was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you, Joanna, again for waking up so early. I hope you have time for your coffee now. And thank you, everybody. Thank you. All
Thank you
right,
so
pass it
much,
back to
Sarah Jean.
Mario. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for another wonderful webinar with us. I'm pretty sure everybody loved it and learned a lot. And also, so thank you so much, and Joanna, for helping out and clarifying any doubts. And before we go, let's just share one last bit of information. To learn more about Clip Studio Paint, visit our website clipstudio.net/n and graphicsly.com. And just a reminder that this webinar is being recorded and will be shared on our YouTube channel, Clip Studio Paint channel, and also Graphicsly. And also for more information about Sarah Jean and her projects and everything that she wonderfully shares, follow her on her social media, Instagram, Artstation, Twitch, and Twitter as TheOneWithBear. So with that, thanks again, Sarah Jean. Thanks again, Joanna, and thank you all of you joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys
So
so much. I hope you have
yeah,
a great day.
Yeah, we hope to see you in our coming webinars and events. So stay tuned and see you on our next time. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.